welcome to the Narrowing Path, walking the spiritual walk. My name is Steve Van Eiderstein. Thank you all for joining me today as we go ahead and continue on with May's daily readings from James Allen's daily meditation book. And this will be fresh to you and fresh to me, meaning you'll get my genuine response, reactions, observations, and what I relate to about the reading, as this will be my first time actually reading it right along with you guys. So I'm looking forward to it. Yesterday's was, it ended with just a great line, and I'm going to reread it just because it was one worth remembering. He lives no longer for himself, he lives for others. And so living, he enjoys the highest bliss and the deepest peace. So when we live for others, we really do get the opportunity to enjoy life to its fullest extent that we didn't know was even possible. So I'm looking forward to see what May 5th brings, right? And to go along with the Star Wars jokes, yesterday was May the 4th be with you, and I think it's Revenge of the 5th, right, for today. But either way, here we go. James Allen's daily meditation for May 5th. Apart from the earnest striving to live out the teachings of Jesus, there can be no true life. A matter-of-fact statement there. All right, here's the main body of it. A good man is the flower of humanity, and to daily grow purer, nobler, more godlike by overcoming selfish tendency is to be continually drawing nearer to the divine heart. He that would be my disciple, let him deny himself daily, is a statement which none can misunderstand or misapply, howsoever he may ignore it. Nowhere in the universe is there any substitute for goodness, and until man has this, he has nothing worthy or enduring. To the possession of goodness there is only one way, and that is this: to give up all and everything that is opposed to goodness. Every selfish desire must be eradicated. Every impure thought must be yielded up. Every clinging to opinion must be sacrificed. And it is in the doing of this that constitutes the following of Christ. That which is above all creeds, beliefs, and opinions is a loving and self-sacrificing heart. That was a riveting reading. Like it just had me. It's probably because, one of the big parts of this reading today was just the opening line and how it just caught you. And apart from the earnest striving to live out the teachings of Jesus, there can be no true life. So the path of righteousness is the only one true path. And we're not saying like the only true path to enlightenment. We're saying the only true path in life, right? The only life that has that fulfillment of joy and that highest bliss and deepest peace that we've been talking about, right? That one we talked about yesterday. Apart from the earnest striving to live out the teachings of Jesus, there can be no true life. Anything outside of acting right, living a righteous life, a godlike life, a Christ-like life, a life of goodness, truth, a life of love, really. I know they are putting Jesus, or James Allen used Jesus as the example, as the model for this, but understand he means goodness, righteousness, that spiritual way of living, those spiritual values and principles. So here we go. A good man is the flower of humanity. So that's the blossom. Like that's what is produced by humanity. A good man, That's the beautiful part of it too, right? That's the attractive part of it. That's the goodness that gets produced from humanity, is a good man. And to daily grow purer, nobler, and more godlike by overcoming selfish tendency is to be continually drawing nearer to the divine heart. So this path we walk, this narrowing path, this is what we're talking about here, the narrowing path, because every time we overcome some selfish tendency, right, when we grow purer, nobler, more godlike, the path narrows. Because less of our selfishness gets involved, less of our self-serving gets involved. And guess what? The path narrows. The path becomes more straightforward. It becomes more simple. That spiritual walk. And we draw nearer every time we defeat that. The narrower the path, the closer we are to God. The closer we are to goodness. The closer we are to source or creator or nature or a societal ideal. Next, I'm excited to read this one again. This is a quote, I believe, from the Bible, but here he goes. He that would be my disciple, let him deny himself daily. That, okay, all right, that, I get that now. When I was reading it at first, the way I read it and it flowed didn't quite register with what the words coming out of my mouth didn't register what I was actually saying. So what they're talking about here is that temptation and that desire to fulfill our pleasures, to seek those selfish ends, right? Those things we need to deny ourselves, our sins. We need to deny ourselves our sins, right? We need to die daily, some say, meaning we need to kill our ego daily and to be of service to God and others, to be of service to society and others, nature and others, whatever it might be. That's what he's talking about here. If we were to be a disciple, if we were to follow the narrowing path, if we were to walk this spiritual walk, we must deny ourselves. And the thing is, the more you deny yourself, the more you practice self-control. That is a huge principle and discipline in the spiritual way of living. The more you exercise self-control, the more clarity and peace you get anyway. So those things you must deny yourself, it becomes such a habit, so ingrained, it doesn't even feel like you have to put the effort into actually denying those things anymore. You blossom into and you turn into that flower, that good man that we were talking about, that this opened up with. That good man that society can produce, and it's only done by denying oneself. Right? It's an interesting, almost, I won't say paradox, but it's a circumstance. The deeper the mire we're in, the deeper the sin, the deeper we are involved with self in our society, the further we have to overcome it. But that makes the overcoming of that such a beautiful thing. It makes it such a substantial thing to root ourselves in. It's amazing. So, he that would be my disciple, let him deny himself daily. And about that quote, he's saying, is a statement which none can misunderstand or misapply, howsoever he may ignore it. And it really is that's kind of a true statement, right? You can't really misunderstand it. You can't really misapply that. Like, deny himself daily. You're denying, even if you take it in the most literal term, you're denying yourself, your own ego, and your own wants and desires to be of service to God and others, right? And to be best of service is such a great ideal to have. howsoever he may ignore it. That's really the only thing that can happen. That's what he's saying, is that we ignore this statement. We ignore this quote. Nowhere in the universe is there any substitute for goodness. That's just the truth. Because these are universal laws. These are spiritual truths that extend beyond just our little planet, our little county, country, society. These are truths that will emanate throughout the entire universe. And until a man has this, he has nothing worthy or enduring. That's a very, almost, I would have at one point interpreted that statement as bleak, right? Like, you have nothing until you find this. Because I categorized myself in the nothing category. I had nothing. I had no perspective. I had no integrity. I had no principle, moral life, though I wanted it and I tried to have it, but I couldn't do it. I needed some help to get there. So, but when I've grasped that, I see how much the rest doesn't matter. The things I strove for to give myself value, worth, validation, mean nothing now. After you find the truth and you find this path and this understanding, there's so much more that you see as vital and important. To the possession of goodness, there is only one way. And that is, I like this part because it's like this setup. To the possession of goodness, there's only one way. So this is the only path to goodness right here, is to give up all and everything that is opposed to goodness. So every selfish desire, every self-centered thought, every pleasure-seeking behavior, every validation-seeking action, right? All of that must be given up. We must deny ourselves those things daily and do the work to remove those character defects, those moral deficiencies, whatever you might want to call them, from ourselves, to grow through those. And really focus only on what goodness is, on love, truths are. He goes on to say this: every selfish desire must be eradicated. Every impure thought must be yielded up. Every clinging to opinion must be sacrificed. And it is in the doing of this that constitutes the following of Christ. So that's a pretty straightforward list here. Every selfish desire must be eradicated. Every impure thought must be yielded up. Right? All of them. Every clinging to opinion must be sacrificed. All of these old self-centered, selfish opinions that we established and have had established for years, we must be willing to let those things go to allow a new perspective and understanding take place. You know, a big thing in the 12-step recovery community is contempt prior to investigation, right? So when we think we know an answer without actually doing the work to understand all perspectives, right? Or believing we know the answer, or believing our opinion is true and unchangeable, right? Contempt prior to investigation. It's a pretty powerful statement there. But yeah, so every selfish desire must be eradicated. Every impure thought must be yielded up. So our thinking is our responsibility too, right? We don't get to bow out of the purification of our thought. I'm sorry. I believe that we have the responsibility to feed ourselves spiritually, mentally, emotionally, physically, the things that will help us purify our thoughts, purify our way of living and our actions, and purify our intentions and our heart. So our desires selfish, self-centered desires, impure thoughts, sinful thoughts, clinging to opinion, the arrogant opinion that we have. And it is doing of this that constitutes the following of Christ. This is how we follow Christ. When we give up what our selves are attached to in this materialistic world. When we give that up and turn that over and we follow the spiritual lifestyle regardless of circumstance, regardless of benefit, regardless of consequence. We practice a spiritual way of living. That's the following. That's the path we need to take. The following of Christ, he calls it here. That is the place we need to be. So he ends it with this. That which is above all creeds, beliefs, and opinions is a loving and self-sacrificing heart. And that's a beautiful, beautiful ending line to this. That which is above all creeds, beliefs, and opinions. That the thing that's always and will always and is why is stressed so much is that love will circumvent, overlook all of these arbitrary things that we seem to want to label and categorize people with. So all creeds, beliefs, and opinions, right? We judge a man's character by those things, but we don't need to be condemning. I think that's a very big thing to remember. We're all here for the same reasons. We're all here to try to live a better life, right? The more judgment is not needed. So that which is above all is a loving and self-sacrificing heart. And that's been the truth for me. And that's what saved my life. And that's the type of person I try to embody as well. So, all right. Well, there we go. That's the end of the reading for today. Like I said, a fantastic one. Really was a... This one gave a lot of direction, I think. So grateful for it, but grateful for everyone jumping on. We are available on Spotify, Podcast, Amazon Prime, Amazon Music, Audible, and Anchor, of course. So please don't hesitate to just check us out on whichever platform is most convenient to you. As well as we have a Facebook page. If you could go ahead, give us a like, give us a follow if you could. It is The Narrowing Path, Walking the Spiritual Walk, and you'll see all of the newest episodes of the podcast, daily reading being shared there, and anything else that might be coming soon too. So thank you all for jumping in with me today, and I look forward to tomorrow's reading with you. Until next time, thanks.